सरिया
When we talk of Bappa Rawal, as you already said, his father had lost to the Bhils and the people killed. That time his mother was in family way, and since after death of her husband she wanted to commit sati, but she was held back because she was in a family way. And after having given birth to Kalbhoj, she original name being Kalbhoj, and then he is called Bappa Rawal. Now basically here this thing was from Gujarat. Idar. Now in Gujarat, a Rajput boy or any known person, young lad, is called Bapu, and the Rajputs are also called Bapu, and prominent people are also called Bapu. So this Bapa came in from Bapu, and Rawal was the title. Having born in a cave Gufa, there's another story says that the Gohil once started from their Gufa, born in Gufa. So this Shabd came in and then finally became Gohil.
I was driving from Delhi to Ahmedabad and I came across these fantastic ravines of the Aravallis in Rajasthan, and there was no way that I was going to give up on telling the story of Bappa Rawal, a king who united Rajasthan, who brought in Lalitaditya from Kashmir, who also got in the Rashtrakutas, who were a vassal of the Chalukyas in Karnataka, and fought against the invaders from Central Asia. Hi, welcome to Young Man Old Adventures. I'm your host Pramit, welcoming you to yet another episode. Today we are going to tell the story of Bappa Rawal. It was the 8th century and Rajasthan was fragmented into pieces. Many different principalities, each one of them powerful in their own rights. Rajasthan is to extend, or Rajputana, the Rajputs, the clan of Rajputs used to extend well into Gujarat, Idar, and even into Saurashtra. There was a prince called Nagaditya in Idar. Now Nagaditya claimed descent from the Ikshvaku dynasty. He was a Suryavamshi, and he was. There are mixed reports of him being a good ruler or not, but he was good for the Rajputs. And it is said that Nagaditya was extremely bad for the indigenous population of this area, which were the Bhils, the tribals. This area is on the border of Gujarat and Rajasthan. Just across is Idar and just on this side is Udaipur. Now the Bhils were a fiercely independent tribe, and as long as you kept them along with the kingdom, they did fine. But the moment you started working against them, that is when problems started, and Nagaditya started working against them. He curtailed their freedoms, and in the end, the last straw was that he completely decided to do away with their hunting rights. That was terrible for them. And once when Nagaditya was out hunting with his soldiers, he was killed. It is said that he was shot dead with an arrow from a distance, and he died on the spot. And when the news went back to Idarpur, which is essentially Idar, his wife, who was pregnant, ran away. She wanted to commit Johar, but she was stopped from doing so because she was going to be a mother soon. She ran away, and lo and behold, where did she run to? she ran right into the arms of a few sympathetic bhils. And an old daima who had nursed her own husband when he was young. When the child was born, he was named Kalbhoj, and this daima promised to take care of him, and the Rani went and committed sati. A terrible habit, but such were the times. She went and committed sati, leaving Bappa, this young boy Kalbhoj, who was nicknamed Bappa, to grow up with the bhils, not knowing who he was. Some say it was a Brahmin family, and yet others say that these were bhils. He grew up amongst them, but from very early on, it was quite clear that he was very different. He was big, he was physically different. He was big and strong. He was tall. There are reports saying that he was 9 feet tall, which I take with a pinch of salt. And it was very evident from a very young age that he was a born leader. He used to take care of the cowherds, and this is just one of the stories. He used to take care of the cowherds, and every evening one particular cow, after grazing, would not give milk. And the villagers were very surprised, and somehow or the other they started blaming Bappa, not directly, but kind of saying that you don't take care of this cow, so on and so forth. So the next day, Bappa followed the cow wherever she went and found that she was releasing her milk at one particular spot. He did this for a couple of days and found out that every single day she would go to that one spot and release her milk. Bappa was surprised. So he went there and he looked after a few days. He dug the ground and found that there was a shivling below. There was actually a shivling below. Now, I do not know how true this is, but apparently everybody in these areas, every tribal, every Rajput believes this to be true. This shivling was later on, when Bappa gained power, installed in the Eklingji Mandir, and this is Eklingji. Till today, there are no emperors, there are no kings. Everybody rules in the name of Shiva, of Eklingji. And once he met a rishi called Harit Rishi, who was a famous godman of this area, and he kind of took Bappa Rawal under his tutelage and convinced him that he was not a bhil and that he had a royal lineage. Harit Rishi seemed to know a lot. Bappa Rawal believed in that destiny that Harit Rishi laid out for him. He became an expert warrior. He became an expert in the Vedas and in the written sciences and and whatever studies. And eventually he was directed to go to Chittorgarh. Chittorgarh was at that time ruled by a venerable man called Mori, and Mori was the Rawal of that place, or the Raja of that place, and he was actually Bappa Rawal's maternal uncle, so some people say, but Bappa Rawal didn't know this. When he went there, he found that this was also around the time that Sindh was invaded by the forces of the Abbasid Caliphate, probably Mir Qasim, Muhammad bin Qasim, and was sacked by them after many years of resistance and after suffering many defeats in the hands of Raja Dahiya. Sindh was capitaled in a place called Brahmapur, which we know today as Karachi. So anyways, the Rajputs were trying to gather an army to fight against them. Now, Bappa Rawal went and took service under Mori, the Mori king of, some say Maurya, some say Mori king of Chittorgarh, who took a fancy to him, who took a liking to him, and elevated him pretty fast, going against his other noblemen. And eventually he decided that Bappa Rawal at the age of 16 or 17 was going to head an army who will go and give fight to Muhammad bin Qasim. It is said that Bappa Rawal went with a confederation of kingdoms and sacked Sindh. He defeated the Islamic powers and sent them out and ejected them from Sindh for a few years. That itself is a huge story, but not much is known other than legends. That's the problem with us Indians, isn't it? We have not preserved our history well. As a result, it has been appropriated by so many other people, suiting so many other narratives. We have completely ignored the fact that we are capable of something. We have given ourselves a complex. We are not inferior to anybody. Yes, there was an Islamic invasion into our country. Don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-Islam, I'm not anti-Muslims, but yes, at the time that they came in, they were invaders, they were marauders, they were rapists, they were plunderers. They came in and tried to destroy this country. Yes, once they considered themselves as Indians, that is when I accept them. We Indians are a very, very forgiving people. Right or wrong, I don't know, that's the way I feel. It is time we brought our history out for what it is worth. So yes, they did come in, but it was not easy for them. It was, they faced a huge amount of resistance, and only when we fragmented were they able to actually come in. And this is the proof of that. The story, the rest of my story is the proof of that. So after Bappa Rawal at the age of 16 or 17 went and headed a campaign against the Muslims in Sindh, he came back and he was a favorite of the king, but there were court intrigues. And somehow the other, Bappa Rawal, went against the king, and the king was very unhappy about it. He still trusted him, but some things happened, some intrigues. Bappa Rawal became a part of some cliques and essentially killed the old king and took over the rule of Mewar, and there started the Sisodia dynasty, or the Gohil dynasty, which later on became the Sisodia dynasty. Like the Cholas, one of the longest running dynasties in the world, because even today their descendants sit in Udaipur. They don't rule. I mean, India is a democracy. Kings don't have a place in it. We are all kings, but they are there. You know, they have a hotel group which they take care of, the HRH group. That is the younger brother, I believe, Arvind Singh Ji. He has an elder brother who is the anointed heir. Now, Bappa Rawal came to the throne, and this was the time that one of the generals of the Abbasid caliphs, either Mir Kasif himself or a gentleman called Junaid Khan, decided to attack India. Now, Bappa Rawal was not like the rest of the so-called Hindus. He did not believe in introspection or looking inside. He was an expansionist, unapologetically so. When Junaid Khan, or whoever it is was the general, started marching with a huge army towards India, towards Rajasthan, he gathered an army to destroy all armies. He was joined by Lalitaditya of Kashmir. He was joined by the Senas from Bengal. He was joined by the Rashtrakutas, who were a vassal of the Chalukyas at that time, from as far away as Karnataka. I think it was a gentleman called Dante Durga. I'm not sure. You can check. Under a Chalukya king called Vikramaditya, they came right here and joined his forces. And Bappa went forward with all vigor. He was not a person to get cowed down. He was not a person to get scared. He was not just waiting for the Caliphate forces. He actually advanced towards them. He beat them. He literally slaughtered them, and then went in hot pursuit. He took over realms from here till Iran. Afghanistan came under him, parts of Iran, parts of Iraq. And everywhere that he went, he implemented these matrimonial alliances. Some he married. It is said that he had 100 wives, be that as it may. Some he got them married to his generals, to his princes. And he established outposts every few kilometers, every few miles from here till Iran. It is said that one of those outposts was set up in a place called Rawalpindi. Bappa Rawal, the village of Bappa Rawal, Rawalpindi, and that's why it is known as Rawalpindi even today. Even today, I believe the local people in Rawalpindi believe that it was Bappa Rawal who actually set it up. The forces, the Middle Asian forces, the Central Asian forces, the Islamic forces who were trying to look at India, trying to come in and attack India, had been given a terrible, terrible lesson. They did not dare to look back at India beyond Sindh for the next 300 years. Your history books won't tell you this. Your history books have ignored Bappa Rawal. The Islamists, yes, understandably, but I do not know why we, India, independent India, has ignored this story for so long. I told you the story of Nike Devi earlier on, and now Bappa Rawal, and I'll tell you many more such stories. All of them grounded in history. Of course, there are stories abound of him being 9 feet tall, carrying a sword into battle, which was more than 1,000 kgs in weight. But I think we can discount some of those. What is important is there was an emperor called Bappa Rawal who ruled here, who drove invaders back, who kept Bharat, India free. That's what we love about India, isn't it? Our freedom. Come, let's raise a toast to Bappa Rawal and remember all like him, Nike Devi, Bappa Rawal, Mihir Bhoj, the Rashtrakutas, Lalitaditya, who kept back people from invading us and plundering us for centuries till our unity broke and we failed. That was the story for the day. The story of Bappa Rawal. It is said after coming back and after ruling for many years, he abdicated his throne and went and took Vanaprasth and became a sannyasi. He was amongst the first of the Gohil dynasty, of the Sisodia dynasty of Chittorgarh. Rana Pratap came from that dynasty. Shivaji was an offshoot of that dynasty. Remember this.
When the Machels were coming, the Muslims, I would say, Caliphas sending them into this place to loot, to plunder India, he gathered the army from various resources from north to south, and had a very big army. And he fought against, the most important, there must be small other stories, but Muhammad bin Qasim. He was the strongest opponent, and his army chased him all the way to, he captured Sindh, then he captured Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Khurasan,